Hi. Oh, I'm loud. So thank you for coming to the event. The Student Union, we're co-sponsored by the Theater Department Special Effects Makeup event. I'm really excited to be here. My name's Allie Ellis. I'm a graduate student here in the Theater Department at TWU. I've been doing theater. I got my BA in technical theater with this emphasis in stage management and stage makeup and such. And I have my lovely model with me, Mackenzie Mitchell. She is a freshman theater student. She's specializing in acting and directing. Oh, theater education. That's what she's specializing in. So today we're going to really talk about the products that we're using, how to use them safely, because I'm all about safety, especially in COVID times, and how to apply a few of them. Now, some of the things I'm going to use, you don't have. So you can build your wax scar along with me. You can put some blood on it. But the painting and such, you won't be able to participate in. But I'll show you how to do it. And this stuff is easy to get. So some of the stuff that I use is a bruise wheel. So I use this one from Ben Nye. You can buy it on Amazon. It's like $13. Okay. It's going to have some primary colors in here, your yellow, your red, a deep blue, and kind of a deep purplish red color. You can also go all ham out and buy this one, which is just the same colors. You got your yellow, red, blue, purple, but you've also got a green in there and another purple as well. It's all about what you want. If you go to Walmart and such, you can find this stuff in like zombie makeup kits. I actually have one right here. I got this for $1. And it's zombie makeup and it's cream. It's not as great quality, but it will work just fine, especially if you're doing this for like Halloween. You don't need anything that's going to last under stage lights and such. But yeah, so zombie kit, you're going to be great. Just make sure you have your basic colors, okay? The other thing we're going to use is our spirit gum, which I don't have out because I'm actually not going to use spirit gum this evening. But this is spirit gum. You actually do have some in your kit. That's the yellow liquid. Unfortunately, you do not have spirit gum remover though. So you have to make a pact with me that you solemnly swear you will not use spirit gum without a remover. Spirit gum is a glue. It's an adhesive to your skin. Okay, we're not going to use it tonight because you don't have a remover and I can't safely give you anything with COVID. But you can get spirit gum remover at Walmart, especially during Halloween. It'll be like $1 or $2. It's not expensive. The spirit gum itself is always a small bottle and the spirit gum remover is always a bigger bottle. You also have your nose and scar wax. I personally don't use mine as often. I think there are more fun ways to build wounds with like liquid latex and such. Oh, I forgot I have a mic on. But this stuff is a good base layer and you do have some of this in your kit. You of course need your stage blood. You can make this stuff at home. There's a whole Pinterest section on how to make stage blood. You can make edible stage blood. You can make stage blood that's supposed to go in your eye. I don't recommend that. You can make dark. You can make thin. You can make like coagulated blood. There's a lot of different things you can do with this. So we're going to use the basic stage blood, and then I'm going to show you how to make it a little bit more coagulated. Because I know we have a lot of nurses in the room. You need some type of Vaseline, especially when you start working with wax. Wax is very messy. It's going to stick to your fingers. That's just what it does. So you always want to think of Vaseline. And then my personal favorite is liquid latex. You can once again get this at Walmart. You can get huge pints of this for like $5 at Walmart during the Halloween season. This stuff is amazing when you're starting to build wounds. It dries really fast. It dries clear. It's easy to use on its own. You can put things in it like tissue and cotton balls, and that will help it get this 3D effect. You can rip it with your fingers, and it creates a cool 3D effect of texture. Because, you know, wounds aren't usually just a slice. There's usually some other stuff going on with it. And then, of course, you need things like your brushes. You know, girls just seem to have a million paint brushes, makeup brushes. If you're going to do that, use ones that you don't like, because especially like stage blood is forever. Okay, so always use brushes you don't like. You can also just go to Hobby Lobby or Michael's and get some regular paint brushes. Those work just as well. I have a few of those in here. But I really like regular makeup brushes. I like these paddle type brushes and detail brushes. They make up a majority of my kit because you tend to want to do detail work. And then lastly, you need some type of spatula. Once again, I got these at Michael's. When it comes to your makeup, you know, we're in the time of COVID, but even before COVID, the standard is that you don't dip your brush into your makeup. You always take a spatula out and put it on a paper plate or a palette or something. And you can see here, I've got my palette already set up with my colors. Bacteria is gross. You don't want that on your face, especially if you're going to share stage makeup with multiple people. But also, this stuff is made with a special type of cream. And if you go Walmart shopping for paint, you're going to be getting even like kind of chunkier cream. And it really breeds bacteria. So we never put our fingers directly in it, just because even if it's your own face and you don't care if it's your bacteria, it can get really gross in here. So just don't stick your fingers in it. Use a spatula, use a toothpick. I think you'll have popsicle sticks. And then the cool new product, this came out on the market just like a year or two ago, and I love it. It's called collodion cream. I think you have to buy this on Amazon right now or at like a special effects store. It's clear. It smells like sin. It will fill a room, but it's so cool. So I'll show it to you in a bit, but as you can see, I'm actually wearing it right now. So it creates a 3D impression in your skin. So for most of what we're doing, I just blew her mind. See, it looks really real. Here, let me see if I can turn this up on my face. So this scar right here, I'm sideways on here. Oh, look, technology. So this scar is actually collodion. It's really easy to put on. I think it took me like 3 minutes to do this scar. And it actually makes a 3D impression on your face. It tightens its skin. It takes some of the moisture out and tightens your skin. Earlier today, I did it all over. I made like a web of collodion scars on my face, and I could feel my heartbeat in my skin because it tightens you so much. It's also easy to remove. You just kind of take up one of the ends, and then you just peel it off. I don't know if I can get it on my own. But yeah, so this stuff is amazing. It's the new, there it goes, and it's gone. So this stuff is so much fun to work with. And it's one of those things where people are going to walk up to you and be like, is it real? Is it not? Is it rude if I ask? Okay, so let's get started. I'm going to have my lovely model, Mackenzie, come switch. Do you mind if I take off my mask or you? No. Okay. We've been in a lot of contact with each other, maskless, so we're comfortable with each other. Is what we do for work, yeah. So we're going to start with doing a bruise. I love bruises. The one thing you have to think about when you start painting a bruise, especially like a black eye, you have to question, how did they get that injury? Okay, because people just want to like draw a dark circle. That's like cartoon black eye. We want to make it look real. So you have to ask, how did they get the injury? Were they kicked in the face? Were they punched? Was the person wearing a ring? Because that will change the way your bruise looks. You also have to think about, how old is the bruise? The nursing students probably can tell things change with the body. You get different colors as people heal. When you start doing bruises, everybody wants to start with dark colors. Because when we look at those really gnarly pictures online, we always see like deep, dark reds and dark purples. The problem with that is that you can't go over that with light color. So you have to start light and go dark. So when we're going to do a bruise, we're going to do a punch on her eye. I'm going to give her a black eye. I think I'm going to be wearing a ring. I think I might have done some hard impact right here and maybe on the inside socket. So there are two most vulnerable areas when we start talking about eye injuries. Don't ask me why I know that, but I do. When you start doing stage makeup and like cosplaying and things like that, you just start collecting pictures of bruises. I have a whole Pinterest board of bruises, and people are like, why do you have that? It's a little messed up. So I'm taking just a normal cotton wedge. I'm starting with a yellow color. I'm going to tilt your head just a minute. Can you see her well enough? Okay. And I'm just tapping a bunch of yellow all around. You can start to pull it. This stuff is cream, so it will mostly go where you want it to go. And I'm just kind of covering her eye. You might want to come down a little bit. You can go up a little bit more. Don't feel like you have to do a perfect circle. And then I'm going to pull some of this off, because we never get perfect coverage with a bruise. There's going to be splotchy areas. So then we're going to come in and add green. Green actually gives us a really kind of sickly, infected look. There's a reason you don't wear green on stage. There's a reason we don't put green lights on people. You look gross. You look sick. You look like you're going to throw up just from having green light on you. So we're going to add some green to kind of give it that infected look. Oop, I did too much. There we go. So I'm going to come in kind of around the bottom here and build in some of that green. Everybody takes makeup differently. I know girls are pretty familiar with that. One product may not work for others. Her skin does not absorb very well with this stuff. So it's mostly sitting on top. So I have to be really light-handed with her, or it's going to look like I just took a paintbrush and slathered it on her. Whereas my skin eats this stuff up. So I have to apply tons. Okay, so we've got a nice outline of green here. We can put a little bit of green on top of her eyelid. And now comes the fun colors. We're going to start with kind of a purplish. And don't be afraid to mix these colors and kind of make whatever you want it to look like. And we're going to just start dabbing at her points of impact. So I've got this red going in. And I'm not really going in specific patterns. You can see I'm switching the way I'm putting it on and wiping, just because, once again, we can't ask somebody to punch us in a very specific way. So, it always tends to be different on everybody. And I'm going to come in with this deep purple. And that deep purple is really where you start getting that black eye look. How's it looking? Looks pretty good. Oh, I see people are asking questions. Let's see. Is this being recorded so I can go back and watch it later? Yes, it is. Oh, somebody already answered that one. Mayron has an awesome face paint that smells like coconut and is great for sensitive skin. It's called Paradise, I believe. Yeah, I actually have a bunch of that. So there is other types of stage makeup you can use as well. There's body paint, basically, is what it is. And I have a whole kit of it right here. Yeah, Mayron's a little bit more expensive than Ben Nye. So what I'm using today is mostly Ben Nye stuff. Mayron is great as well. I have this, and then I have my individual cakes. By the way, this palette is $10, the Z palette. And with these, you add water, and then you paint them on, but it looks like body paint. Whereas these creams, they really blend into the skin, and they blend better. So that's why I'm not even really touching this stuff when it comes to wounds. If you're doing character, cosplay, fantasy makeup, absolutely this stuff is amazing. And you can find lots of YouTube channels where they do it and paint along with them, like Made You Look. This is another brand of that stuff called Snazzaroo. You can get it at Michael's. It's really cheap. You can see mine literally comes out. So it's really cheap, but it gets, a basic job done if you're wanting to experiment with this stuff. Yeah, Mayron Paradise makeup is absolutely fantastic, though. It is just a little expensive. Okay, so let's come back into here. So I've got a nice ring of yellow. We've got some of the red. We're bringing in some of the purples. And we're going to start going a little darker. So I've got my red in here. Starting to get a little symmetrical. And then we're going to pull in some of this really deep purple. So we can see I'm starting to get my point of impact right here. So they were wearing, one of those big chunky rings when they hit her. It was probably a professor. What'd you say? I'm also getting some impacting right here. You know, the nose sticks out. So when you punch somebody in the nose, you're going to get some impact on your nose. And of course, if you find that you've done too much, just flip your sponge over and take some of it off. That's the great stuff with these creams. They're easily removable. And you can, of course, build it out or build it in as much as you want. So I would say that's a pretty decent looking bruise. You can open your eye and show them if you want. What do you think?
I think it looks nice.
The other thing you can do is take this thing. It's called a stippling sponge. Show right here. It's just a really coarse sponge. You can find things like this at Michael's and such, or you can buy them online for like 50 cents. I'm going to take some stage blood and dip it on there. You have to be really careful with stage blood. A little bit goes a long way, just like real blood. And we can break some of our little capillaries here by just dabbing this on. It is not the most gentle sponge to have on your face, so try not to wipe at it because it will hurt the skin. There you go. Hold on, let me clean this off. I got a little too much blood on you. There you go. So that's our bruise. You can do all of this with Walmart stuff for like $5, $10. And it's one of those things where people walk up and they're like, dang, is that real? Like, who got you? Okay, so let's do the wax. I'm going to do, where do you want a wax scar? This side? We'll do it on your forehead. Okay, so when you're dealing with wax, it's a pain in the booty. So I take, what is this thing called? A spatula. I'm really having one of those days. I like Vaseline. I just kind of dip my Vaseline with my spatula. And you can join along on this one because you have wax. And I'm going to take out my wax. There we go. Okay, and then I'm going to put a little bit of Vaseline on my fingers. You can use your wax. It's just going to stick to your fingers a little bit more than you probably are wanting, but it will be malleable. You will be able to. I would recommend like meshing it around in your fingers for a little bit. It gets softer as you go. You have a little spatula there, a little, what is that thing called? Popsicle stick. Thank you. She's my brain, if you haven't noticed. So you can take it out easier. And we're going to just take it and stick it on wherever you want it. You can do this on your hand. It's hard to get out. I'm not joking. This stuff is hard to get out. I feel bad for whoever had to put all that wax in those little containers because I know the struggle is real on that. I feel you and I feel your pain. You can get nose and scar wax in a darker color for people with darker skin complexions as well. Just FYI. You can paint it as well. You know, if you do this, put a little bit of your foundation on it. Powder it first and then foundation it with your natural color. You got it right there. Or you can just get scar wax. It is your color. It's never going to be fully your color though. So once I have it on, I'm going to start smoothing down the edges. I'm getting really intimate with her head here. And you're going to find as you work it that it's going to stick to your fingers. You just put a little bit more Vaseline on. The big thing is this one can go over hair. So if you're trying to do, like you'll see if you watch RuPaul's Drag Race and such, I do too. They do great painting. Some guys will actually cover their eyebrows with it to give them the look that they don't have an eyebrow, and they repaint a woman's eyebrow on top. So this stuff can go over hair, but that spirit gum that you have cannot go over your hair because it will rip your hair out. Same thing, we don't use spirit gum without spirit gum remover because it will rip your skin off. This stuff is really, really adhesive. So that's why when I saw that you don't have the remover, I'm like, we're not going to touch the spirit gum today.
Some people learn it the hard way.
Some people learn it the hard way, yeah.
Not me.
Did you not have remover?
No.
Okay, well, this person taking a makeup class didn't think to use spirit gum remover.
It was high school, okay?
Oh, okay.
The first time I did latex, I did it on my hair with nothing underneath it. I learned that the hard way.
So I'm really just smoothing it down into the skin. I'm smoothing the edges. You are still going to see the edges when you paint. That's just how wax is. None of the stuff truly, truly smooths down to be skin level. I'm going to come through with some powder. This is just a basic translucent setting powder on a puff. And then I'm going to beat her face. That's what it's called, beating your face. You're going to beat the face.
So a real bruise would fly.
And I mean, if you watch like RuPaul's Drag Race, they sit there and they're like, I mean, you beat the face. Okay, oh my gosh, I just got this in my hair. That was brilliant. Okay, so as you can see on hers, it really does start to blend into the skin once you start to powder it. Can you look forward? Now we're gonna kind of make the scar a little malleable. Now you can see I don't have anything on my fingers. I haven't dipped back into my Vaseline, but I can push on it and it's not sticking to me. That's because I powdered it. So any translucent powder, you just pat it on. It will make the wax dry enough that you can start messing with it. So we're going to give that as our really weird scar. I don't know what hit her. Kind of looks like she's growing a horn. Yeah, I didn't think that one through where I placed it. But you definitely look like you're growing a horn. I'm going to come through with foundation. So my foundation is in some weird packaging. It is Ben Nye foundation. When you buy a Ben Nye kit, you get 3 different foundations. They look like this. You can get a kit for $45, by the way, and it has everything I used. It has liquid latex. It has 3 foundations, spirit gum remover, the puff, the setting powder, blush. It has everything. So those are always great to start with, and they're like $45. But I have a lot of foundations, so that's why I put them in this packaging. We're going to go with that one. It's hard to do at first. You just have to work with it and just make it malleable with the heat from your fingers. So once again, I'm not putting my fingers in my makeup. I'm using a spatula. Now, once it's on your plate, who cares if you put your fingers in it? But to get it on the plate, just don't dip your fingers in your actual pots. And ladies, you honestly should not do that with any of your makeup. Okay, so we're going to come through with a new sponge. We're going to foundation it down. I am using a Ben Nye foundation. It's cream, so it's really thick. If you're going to do this at home, I actually recommend a thinner foundation. Just don't make it liquidy. The liquid can start to move on the wax. So make sure it has some creamy consistency to it, but don't feel like you have to go for full-on stage makeup foundation. So I'm just going to pat it on, and this will just help blend it into her skin. And of course, like I said, her skin doesn't like this stuff. So it kind of just sits on top. So you do see a lot of texture, which I know ladies, when we foundation normally, we don't want to see any texture. That's just what you're going to get with stage makeup. Stage makeup is really designed for people being far, far away from you. It's great in a pandemic. And then when it comes to stage makeup, more is always better. Don't feel like you have to paint light, and don't feel like you have to go super realistic. With this stuff, you typically want to paint for that back end, especially if you're going to be under thick lights and things like that. So you've got our scar. It started to come up just a smidge here, so I'm going to re-Vaseline my fingers and kind of mush it down. How's y'all's going? The struggle is real when it comes to wax. I don't use wax often. It's hard to use. It's not as malleable as you want it to be. It's thick. It's, it sticks to you. And then you just see the edges so much more. But that's a basic scar. If you walked up with wax, you would absolutely see this. I prefer, if I'm going to do a scar, to use that collodion. And in fact, we're going to do some of it on her right now, but we're going to do on the other side. I honestly can't tell you how much this was. It wasn't super expensive. I want to say it was like $15 to $20. But I've been using this for 4 years now. And you can see I've barely used a fifth of it. This stuff will last you forever. It smells. It's going to stink up the room, just FYI. You kind of put it on real thick. We're going to start over here. I'm sorry for your eye because it's going to sting. We just put a little bit on. We're going to let it dry. It takes a minute to dry. It doesn't stink.
Oh, I think it stinks. No, it stinks.
Oh, yeah, it stinks.
Sure stinks.
So we're going to start cutting open this wax while we let that collodion dry. We're going to take our spatula again. We're going to come back into the Vaseline. By the way, let me know if I start going over on time and things. And when to shut up. Because I'll talk forever. We're going to come in with our little spatula here, and we're going to cut open our scar. Okay. If you already did it, your head. That's what you do. That's how you learn this stuff. It really is. You sit in a dark room and be weird and make cuts on your face. And then you post them on Facebook and people are like, oh my God, what happened to you?
I learned that the hard way. I had to send out like a message being like, guys, I'm not at the hospital.
Facebook censored my pictures this morning. So apparently I did it really well that people couldn't tell that it was fake. So I'm taking a basic brush and I dipped it in my Vaseline. And I'm going to come in and I'm actually going to dig out this wound a little bit more and open it up. And I'm going to push down my edges with it. Your skin really does not like this foundation.
No.
I don't know how you do this in class. I'm actually going to wipe it off because it looks terrible.
It takes so long to do it in Mrs. class.
I'm going to show you how to paint it. But if you've got blood, you can just throw blood on these things and it'll be just fine. But you can do more in depth with that same color set that I had earlier. So we're going to powder again. Wherever my powder went, oh, it's over there. I'm a very clean and organized person until it comes to stage makeup, and then it goes everywhere.
I feel like that's just stage makeup.
It is. Okay, I'm going to beat her face again. How's your scar coming? This collodion may not work well on her. She's a very young person, and younger people have tighter skin. So we're going to try to make it work on her. If not, I'll do the collodion on myself because I know it works on me.
I'm sorry, I was born in 2002.
Okay. Yeah, this stuff will stick to your nails. I just got it all over my hands, so that's great. I'm going to feel my heartbeat in my fingers later. Okay, so we're going to start painting this. And we're going to follow that same logic that we did with the bruise. We start light, we go darker. So I'm going to start in with the yellow again. And we're going to start around the edges here. One of the reasons I don't love wax is that you really do see the edges. If you're wanting to paint a scar and make it look really realistic, I highly, highly recommend liquid latex. It blends more into the skin. You can find some amazing tutorials on YouTube. Latex is cheaper. It's easier to work with. You take it and you put it on and you put some cotton on it or a tissue, then you can literally rip it. And when you paint it, the edges won't show up quite as much. So we're actually going to take a brush. We're actually going to take a really dark black. And we're going to go inside the wound with the black. and paint the edges. It gives more depth to the wound. Okay. Then we're going to come in with our yellow. And when we start doing some of this detail, it might be easier to use a brush rather than a sponge. But we're going to come in and paint the inside with some yellow. And then we're just going to keep building our colors. Normally I say get a different brush for every color because you don't want to mix your colors. When you're doing bruises and such, it doesn't matter if you really mix your colors, just as long as you're going lighter to dark. So I'm putting some green in here. I'm going to give it a nice little infection. You can mix Vaseline and a little bit of spirit gum in with this paint and really make like pus that can come out of wounds and such like that. I mean, the sky is the limit. You can go as gross as you want with this stuff. It is fun. And you know, sometimes you try and you're like, well, I just put a bunch of purple in my face. That doesn't look good at all. It's just trial and error. When I first started this, I would always load up my wounds with dark colors. So I've placed it and I'm going to kind of come in and smear it and blend. Wax doesn't blend super well. And if you start to build something and you're running out of time and you can't redo it and you look like it and you think this is terrible looking, just put a bunch of blood on it. That's always the answer.
I feel like that's the answer for everything.
So we really are just following that same principle of building up color. How's it going with building up the wax? Did you say pain? Oh, I think you might be doing it wrong.
No, not painful, but like it is.
Oh, okay. Yeah, it is a pain. It wasn't painful though. Like, if it's painful, there's something wrong going on here. So I'm really painting out the edges of this wound. You really want to give these things 3D looks. That's what makes it the coolest. So when you've got skin folds hanging off or the cuts coming out 3D. We're going to add a little bit more. Okay, so when it comes to stage blood, it typically comes out in a thinner liquid. I actually poured some out earlier so it would dry up a little bit because we're going to add that and then we're going to add Vaseline and make it look really gross. So we're going to pour a little bit of stage blood. And everybody Googles, yeah. This is right. Stage blood is forever, especially on your clothes. So be very careful with where you get it. You know, I mentioned I was a butler. I can get stains out of anything. I can't get stage blood out of anything, though. So I'm going to come in with a brush. And when you have your, oh, this is my blood brush. When you have a blood brush, that is forever your blood brush because it will never come out. You will never get it truly clean. So I'm going to dip it in. I'm just going to start packing it in. You don't want to just get it in the wound. You want to get it on the outside of the wound. You can even take a ton of it on your brush. And when you're going to do dripping, I recommend just letting gravity do it itself. Okay? Nothing will ever look nearly as good if you try to drip rather than just let gravity do it. Huh? Thanks. I'm going to take that as a compliment. You do want to make sure you don't get in the eye. Obviously, this stuff is like cornstarch and such. You can also do special effects with this stuff. I don't know if any of y'all have seen a live play where they have blood. There's things called blood packs. We put a bunch of blood in a cheap
Sandwich bag.
Thank you, sandwich bags. Once again, she's my brain. And you tie it off and you hide it under your clothes. And then somebody gets shot on stage, boom, and the actor goes, ugh, and they pop it with their hand. And when they come away, they've got blood. So you can do things like that for Halloween under your clothes. Wear clothes that you never want to wear again, and you're going to be really gross at the end of the night, and you may be a little bit dyed red. You never know. It just depends on your skin. I don't get dyed red with stage blood, but some people do. So now we're going to take some Vaseline. We're going to come in with my stage blood. Here, I'm going to move this. I'm going to move this because I'm going to hold this up to the camera. So this is my stage blood. I'm going to take Vaseline and put it in there. And I'm going to actually take some black and put it in there. And then I just mix them up. It gets real gross. I need more blood. Things that you can say that out of context make gross sense. I need more blood. I'll get it later. There we go. Yeah, please don't get it on your clothes. So I'm just mixing them together. And then I'm going to come through with my paintbrush again. And this time we have chunky blood. You know, chunky blood, it's blood that's been coagulated. It's blood that's got tissue and stuff in it. It's very 3D blood. You see how it filled the wound even faster? It's darker, so it's an older wound. It's a wound that's not been treated. Sometimes when you get stage blood, it's really bright red. It's almost like fire engine red, and that's just not super realistic, especially when you start getting big wounds. These things tend to be darker. Of course, by doing this, you will have made a mountain of gross blood, but that's just one of the problems that you pull too much makeup out. But this stuff is cheap enough that it's okay. You can get special blood that does special things. You can get pre-coagulated blood. You can get thin blood. You can get red blood. You can get dark blood. Just get whatever you want or whatever's cheapest, and you can doctor it to do what you want it to do. If you want it darker, add black. If you want it coagulated, add Vaseline. Okay, so don't feel you have to buy something expensive. Just buy whatever's cheap at Walmart. I think our wound is pretty gross. So we're going to mostly leave that. We're going to come back through with our stippling sponge. You know, when I took this in my undergrad, they always wanted us to have a story with our wounds. And I am a lazy student in general. She can attest that I never pre-plan my designs. I just show up and do something and hope it looks good. Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. But I would make up these elaborate stories that made zero sense. And my professor would always be sitting there going, no, come on. But it was really entertaining. So we're going to just stipple on some more blood. Stippling blood is actually great for hiding your edges where the wax is sitting up. It's really great for that. That way people come up and they're like, okay, I see where it's makeup. I got it. Awesome. So that would be our built-in scar. Of course, you can do a regular scar. They're just not as fun because it doesn't have blood in it. If you're doing this, you might as well go all in.
I can feel my heart in my face.
It's not very thick. You can feel your heart in your face. So we're going to come in one more time with our collodion, but I'm not convinced that it's going to work well on her. Her skin is just so naturally tight. Okay, do you want to step away and let that dry? And while we do that, I'm going to put it actually on me because I think it will work better on me. No offense.
All offense.
So I am naturally a very camera shy person, so I don't like this. I'm also blind as a bat. Okay, so I'm going to take the collodion on myself. The collodion itself, you have to buy off like Amazon or something. But let me tell you, the painting is the easiest painting in the world, and you can do it with lipstick. So we're going to take our collodion. Once again, it's just a thin liquid. It's clear. It looks like water. It smells like sin. I don't know if y'all can smell it in the room, but it's lovely. You kind of want to put it on thick. That's not a mirror. This is a mirror. And you want to go where your skin is already pretty loose. So we tend to get looser skin in our cheek area as we get older. Oh, it's burning my eye. Areas where you have natural wrinkling going on will also be great. So I have natural wrinkling on my forehead here, which is where I did earlier. And of course, I've put this stuff on and off about 6 times a day. So my skin is really angry at me. And you just kind of let it dry. It takes about 30 seconds. It doesn't take long at all. How am I on time? Am I good? Oh, cool. While we're here, why don't I show you latex as well? Because latex is the more fun product. Oh, and there's a tissue right here. Latex, while it's more fun, it takes more time. I don't. I feel like it sticks better to my natural skin. Of course, everybody's different. If you're allergic to latex, use a barrier first. Actually, if you're allergic, don't use latex. But if you question, like some people are just sensitive to products. They're not allergic, but they're just sensitive. You can get a barrier cream that can go down. You can also just use a lotion, a moisturizer. This is all about taking care of your skin. Of course, like my skin is horrible now because masks. And I look like a 12-year-old going through puberty again. But in general, you want to keep your base canvas clean and moisturized because then your stage makeup will sit better on it. So we're going to take our latex. If you don't know if you're allergic, put a little bit of it just on the inside of your arm. Don't put it all over your face if you don't know, because you will have a reaction if you're allergic. It is not a comfortable reaction. And latex is one of those things that's a very common allergy. But if you're not allergic to it, congratulations. It's much more fun to use. So we're going to take it. You can buy this stuff at Walmart right now. Even when it's not Halloween, you can actually get this in the nail art area of Walmart. It's going to look like this, latex. So this one's pink and it has sparkles. And when it dries, it's just kind of a colorless sparkle. There's a YouTuber, Simply Nailogical. She made this stuff really famous. So now all these companies are making it. But you put it on because when you paint your nails, it won't stick to your skin and you just peel it off. I prefer Ben Nye because the brush is thicker. You have to keep a tight lid on this stuff. Once again, that's not a mirror. Because air will dry it out. So we're just kind of brushing it on where we want it. We're going to let that round dry. This stuff also smells like sin. It smells like rotten fish. So yeah, that's fun. But once you get it on, it starts to dry. It will dry clear, so you know when it's dry. So while we're waiting on that to dry, let's look at our collodion. So you can start to see the outline, but it's not very well defined. I recommend putting like 3 or 4 rounds of this stuff on. And I'm just painting it on real thick. And this stuff has become much more popular recently. I'd say in the last 2 years, it's become more popular. So it's getting much more easy to find. I would not be surprised in a few years if you can buy collodion at Walmart during Halloween. So we're going to let that dry. While we're doing that, we can talk about prosthetics. We won't be applying them today. But when you start getting at prosthetics, you want something thin that's made out of latex or silicone. Latex is the cheapest. So when you're going to like Spirit, Halloween, or Walmart and you're getting an appliance, you want something that's got thin latex edges. You have Spirit gum. Basically what you do is you draw an outline of where you want it to go. You can use eyeliner, a pencil, and just draw where you want it to go. You come behind, you Spirit gum this side, the actual latex, and then you Spirit gum your face. You let it sit for like 30 seconds and you kind of tap it and it will get really tacky. When it's tacky, you just stick the sucker on your face. And then of course, you have to go through and paint it. These things like this one's pre-painted, but it's terrible painting. So it's really designed for you to come through and finish the painting to make it look 3D. The edges will stick up. That's what edges do. You can try to smooth them down with Spirit gum, but you will still see the edges. That's where stage blood and makeup come in really handy because you can start to cover those edges. At the end of the night, you have to use Spirit gum remover. Don't rip it off your face or part of your face will come with it. Okay, and I'm really not exaggerating with that. It hurts really bad. It will rip up whatever hair you had down there. So you use Spirit gum remover. You take a brush, not that brush, and you like dip it in spirit gum remover and you start tapping until you raise up an edge, and then you just go under and add more spirit gum remover, and it will just slide off. No damage to your skin. So don't be afraid of appliances, but you have to know the right tools. Spirit gum and spirit gum remover. You have spirit gum. You just need to go buy some remover now. And it will come with more spirit gum. But appliances are really great for 3D. So this is almost dry. We're starting to see the scars. So you can see the scar right here starting to form again. We're going to add more latex. How's your face? Yeah, I don't see your scar at all.
It feels super tight.
Some people just have tight skin. That's a product of being a young person. Yeah. We know when you were born. So I'm going to take the latex. I put another thin layer on. You can go thick with this stuff, but it's going to take you forever to dry. And I'm going to come through with some just basic tissue. And I'm going to stick it on my face. You don't have to put it a certain way, a certain area. You can overlap it. It doesn't matter. And then you just paint on top of that. The whole point of this is that you want to create a 3D effect. And it's never going to go the way you want it to. So don't think you know exactly how your scar is going to look. Especially when you start working with latex or wax. You saw with the wax. It doesn't do what you want it to do. It's going to do what it wants to do. And you just have to paint what you were able to get it to do. We're going to let that dry. And we're going to do one more pass of collodion. Once again, not a mirror. Okay, so we're going to let that sit. Can you smell it? You're lucky. Anybody have any questions while we let my face dry? Well, yeah.
I asked you about basics with the latex.
Mm-hmm.
Other than ripping it off, what's the best way to get it off?
Ripping it off.
Okay.
Latex doesn't hurt to rip off.
It hurts, but I have sensitive skin.
It hurts what?
It hurts me, but I have sensitive skin.
Okay, if you have sensitive skin, I can see how it could hurt. But in general, latex, it just peels right off. It's not a big deal. It can hurt a little bit more when you start getting it on hair. Spirit gum remover may work. Soap and water may work. But in general, you just got to suck it up and kind of pull it off.
I use exfoliating scrubs, like the equate ones.
Yeah.
They help.
Yeah.
Just washing your face.
Yeah. I was going to say something else. What was I going to say? Spirit gum remover. Oh, so I don't know if you're at the point of nursing. Have you ever used Tegaderm? So it's like a Band-Aid, but it's bigger in area and it's clear and it's all sticky. You know what Tegaderm is? Yeah. So they put it like they'll pack it with gauze and then put Tegaderm down and hold the gauze. That stuff hurts to come off. But they always say that if you start pulling from the edges and kind of pulling out, and I'll show you what I mean when I take this off, that it will actually hurt less. So we can try that. Okay, so I would say our scar is pretty well done. You just can't see it well. So you're going to take some paint. And honestly, ladies, you just need a tube of nude lipstick. Okay, so you get a tube of nude lipstick. I've got a color here that I'm going to use. And you just lightly paint it. So I'm not going everywhere. I'm just going on top of that scar. It will take out some of the shininess that's naturally happening with the collodion. And it gives it depth. It really does give it that more 3D look. So there you go. Now you can see it deeper now that I have it painted. That makes sense? Nude lipstick. You can do the lipstick before. You can do it after. I prefer after. I tend to think I want it to draw the moisture out of my skin, not the lipstick or the cream. So I tend to do it afterwards. That's the order of normal painting. But I have seen YouTubers who do it before and it will just great. It looked great. Okay, so we're going to come back over here and I'm going to switch over so y'all can see it better. I'm not fully dry, but I'm dry enough. We're going to start ripping it. Latex, oh, that was loud. Latex is fun. You can do a lot of different things with it. You can make your hands look crazy old. But it gives it that nice 3D. So we're going to go maybe gunshot wound, I'm thinking. So I've kind of raised it up. We've got this that hangs down. And of course, you can apply latex to a big portion of your face and really have some skin ripping going on. It works great. And then we're going to start painting. Same thing as before. I'm going to come in with yellow. And I don't have my glasses on, so I may not be painting this very well. I should have had Mackenzie paint it.
So you don't powder your latex?
You don't really need to. You can if you want to. If you're going to block your eyebrows or something, yeah, absolutely. Latex will stick to latex as well. So if you're going to build on with different latex or latex appliance, you have to powder because it will just stick to itself and rip off. I'm going to come in with some dark in the hole. And of course, you can go under the latex. It freaks some people out, but it doesn't hurt, obviously. And it just gives us that 3D look. My ear is itchy and I don't want to touch my face because my hands are gross now. And then I'm going to come in with green and start painting. I'm really going to get these skin folds and the ripping. And of course, if you do like a huge appliance of latex on your face and you paint it and you've got like a little kid coming up to you and like, oh my God, that's cool. And then you just rip it off your face, it'll scar them for life and it's brilliant. I would know. I taught middle school for a year. There's always that look of, oh my God, she just ripped her face off.
You're a great teacher.
Thanks, I know.
I mean, hey, don't get you
I only taught for that year. I did teach stage makeup every semester though, because obviously it's like one of my favorite subjects. And it keeps the kids engaged. And the kids really freaking loved it. It was a really engaging lesson. And of course, they wanted to keep it afterwards and like convince their teacher that like Miss Harrison punched me. Yeah.
That raised a lot of questions.
Yeah, so we had to like do a pact where we solemnly swore that we would not get Miss Harrison fired. We would not say that the principal beat us that night. Yeah. So I'm really focusing on the edges and the inside. You can do some of the outside as well. When it comes to latex, brushes aren't going to be your friend. For the outside, when you're painting on top of it, you really do want to use a sponge because the brushes can easily pick up that latex and carry it with it. I'm going over it. I'm going around it. And I'm sticking away from the edges as well, just because your edges will still stick out. And of course, just because you have a wound, like a gunshot wound here, doesn't mean that the rest of the area isn't bruised. Coming with some dark. And once you start to get the hang of this, you can go really fast with it. Let's put some more yellow in here. How's your wounds going? It's cold. And then let's finish it up with some blood. Where's my blood brush? There's. So we're going to use that coagulated blood again. I'm going to take a lot of it and I'm going to pack it into the wound. Yeah, don't use the middle because it's spirit gum, which is great for prosthetics and applying things to your face and making them stick. Oh, no. Come see me afterwards. I have spirit gum remover. We'll sanitize it before you touch it, okay? Because that's the problem. You don't have spirit gum remover, and that stuff will hurt to rip off.
Don't touch that anymore.
Yeah, not unless you have a remover. You can get a remover. You can get spirit gum and a remover at Walmart for like $4. So it's really cheap if you really want to start doing prosthetics and such. So we're going to come a little bit into the wound. We're going to let it drip a little bit. I need a little bit more. And then we're going to do some dripping. And once again, we're going to just use gravity. Nope, gravity went a little too hard that way. There we go. Now we're going to let gravity went on my sweater. At least it's black. So I would say that's a pretty decent. It's probably overloaded with blood a little bit. I have probably a little too much blood in it. So you can always just come through and dab some of it out. And once again, give it that 3D look. That's much better. And then we can always come through and stipple with our blood again. So there we go. It's stuck in my hair. I know, it's gross. So that is our different wounds. So now is the removal part. With latex, I'm going to come through and take some of the blood off where it's dripping. I'm going to take your stuff off if you don't mind. So I'm going to find an area. And so I've got an area. So she mentioned that it actually kind of hurts her to take it off. So if you just pull, you can see it starts coming off. I prefer to just rip this way. That's it. It doesn't hurt. It comes off in 2 seconds. Same with the collodion. It's a little bit harder to find an edge. But once you do find it, I have stuff all over me. I just take my nail and kind of make an edge. Once you have it, you just pull. If you can't find an edge or it just isn't working, give it an hour or so and wash your face again, and it will come off that way with like a scrubber, abrasive one. Don't over scrub your skin trying to get the stuff off. It's not going to work. If it's wanting to stay on for a little bit, it's going to stay on for a little bit if you don't have the right stuff to remove it. But once it's loosened from the skin, it will just come right off. None of this stuff is really designed to stay on for hours and hours and hours. See, like right here, it doesn't want to come off right now. So I'm going to leave it alone, and when it wants to come off, it'll come off on its own. So let's move to Mackenzie. Oh, can I have a wipe? Because this is lovely, but we're going to take it off. When you start using the Walmart makeup, it may take a little bit more scrubbing, and it may dye your skin just a little bit more than if you were using more quality product. But with just a little bit of wiping, it should come off. So we're going to take Mackenzie's off now. Welcome back, Mackenzie. So when it comes to the scar, I don't want to take off your bruise. Your bruise looks so good. Which, by the way, if anybody would like to socially distance, come up and look at her. We can put our masks on for a minute. Or if you're good with what you see on there, we're cool. Okay. We're going to just rip it off then. So I just, Neutrogena, pull it off. The wax will come right off. Don't use your fingers. It's just going to stick to your fingers. And you've got paint and blood on it. It's just going to dye your hands. So I use wipes. You just start wiping and it will come off. It may take washing your face. It is in her. Oh, you got it in your mouth, girl.
I didn't want to bother you.
You are so weird. That's what I deal with. Oh, you can see her scar started to show a little bit more. It took her much longer for it to really suck up that moisture in her skin. It really is just because she's got younger skin. Find an area where your skin is looser. Now, let me tell you, crazy here thought that if you went like this, it meant your skin's loose. No, that just means you have fat in your cheeks. Okay? You really want to find an area where your skin is loose. Hands are great. Your skin is really loose here. This area can be okay. You got to really work with it, though, because we do tend to be a little tight here. Around the eyes, our skin is looser. What is it, my hair? When you start getting into this area, our skin is much looser. That was me hitting a microphone, sorry. She was like looking around like, what, ghost? So just go for an area where skin's naturally looser. We tend to be really loose in this area. Or where you have natural scarring, or not scarring, natural wrinkles. Your skin's going to be loose around a wrinkle. Do you want me to paint it?
Yeah.
I can tell. So once again, I'm just going in with like this dusty rose pink color. I don't know if you can tell what color it is. It really would be like a nude lipstick. In our stage makeup kit, this is the lipstick color they give you. And I'm just painting the actual scar. It takes the shine away. Now, of course, you could just powder. To take the shine away. But I really feel like painting it is what makes it look more recessed in. Yeah. Do you like it?
Yeah.
I can tell.
Cool kid.
And then with the paint, just Neutrogena white, soap and water, all of that will come right off. I don't recommend leaving this stuff in your skin for hours. It's not meant to be breathable. It's not comedogenic, which means it's not going to or it will clog your pores. Okay. If you're using this stuff daily, if you're going to work in a haunted house or something, you really got to do some like scrubbing and exfoliating and really care for your skin. Toner, all of that. But if you're just doing this as a one-off, it's not going to kill you. You might have a few breakouts afterwards. This stuff is just not designed to be breathable. But it looks really cool. And it's going to look better than, getting an eyeshadow palette and trying to paint it on, because you never know how that's going to blend. You can't really control it as well. Some of these shadows are really thin. They're not opaque, things like that. So I do recommend, if you want to do bruising, just get some cheapo little zombie wheel or bruise wheel. They sell them in a package of just bruise. You can also get wounds that are like a tattoo that you put on. You put the water behind it and it transfers over and it looks like a scarred tattoo. And then it comes with a little bit of paint. I think I bought this for a zombie kit because I was like, hey, those are bruise colors. And it was like $1. And I never used it for zombie. I've always used it for bruises when I was painting middle schoolers because I didn't want to use my good stuff on children. Because it is kind of expensive. Like I said, a basic bruise wheel has 4 colors in it. It's like $13. There is a place in Denton. You can go to Rose's Costumes. I don't know if they're open during COVID right now. But they sell Ben Nye kits. They sell individual things as well. They also sell, sorry, I'm reaching over you, the big kit. This is the Master Bruise Wheel is what it's called. Bruise Wheel Master. Has more. That's all it is. I did end up using every color from this one to build, especially this bruise. I ended up using all of these colors. But yeah, you just need those basics. You need a yellow, a green, a red, and a purplish color. We're talking like a dark purple. Any questions? You can. It's hard. I'm not going to lie. It's hard. You have to use a really good palette because, some of these thinner shadows, like if you're going to get like elf shadows and things like that, they're cheaper, but they're thin. They don't blend as well. They're just not opaque. So you're going to spend most of your time just trying to get color on your face and then trying to get color where you want it to be. And, fallout's a real thing. And then, of course, if you've got like the really expensive palettes that are quality shadow, those are expensive to use for a bruise. So you can do things like that. I'd stay away from body paint and face paint. They're too vibrant of colors. I can show you what they do, but because somebody had mentioned the Mayron paints, and I have them here, but they're not going to work for a bruise. It's like these Snazaroo things. You basically, I'm going to put pink on your face. Are you okay with that?
Yeah.
I dyed myself pink the other day. And I work at TWU. I work in the theater department. And I literally walked around the department pink the rest of the day. It will come off with a good shower, but getting that good shower at 9 a.m. is not going to happen when I have to work. Where's a brush? Yeah, so what look were we doing the other day?
The prosthetics.
Yes, so we had prosthetics. So we just had to make a character. Once again, they love for you to make a character. And once again, I don't pre-plan because I'm an idiot. And I started to build a character. I had like a fairy nose, and it wasn't working. So all of a sudden, I just pull out pink. And all of a sudden, it's like you turn around and I'm pink, like head to toe pink. And the teacher's like, whoa, Allie. I was like, I know, it just happened. So it's just water. You do like a spritz. With this stuff, I use a quality brush. You just get better results. I kind of mix it together until you get a little bit of a sludgy look. And it's really opaque. You can turn. So you can see this. Oh, it's not as vibrant on camera. In real life, like the people who are sitting here, it is hot pink. It goes on really thin. It looks like your skin. We don't get any texture. You don't get any skin tone bleeding through. This stuff is great for fantasy and cosplay. It's terrible for wounds because as you can see, it doesn't look like skin. It doesn't look authentic. Unless you're doing like Avatar and they're bleeding blue or bleeding pink or whatever, this stuff is not going to be great for that. So if you're starting to do wounds, which wounds are the best part of starting, definitely go for cream. Cream's going to be your friend. If you want to do cosplaying and fantasy and such, body paint's your best friend. I love this stuff. I'd say 90% of my makeup looks contain body paint now. These are like, this one's $10 a piece. And then you can just get thin ones that don't have all the fancy packaging, like these. And these are $8 a piece, I think it was. No, these were like $5. I just bought a bunch of them, as you can see. Sure, here's, whoa. These are the individual ones. The refills is what they're called. And then the big ones, you can get a big palette. I buy mine individually and I just fill them into a palette. But they're all super vibrant colors. So can you get purple and yellow and red and green to build a wound? Yeah, they just don't look like skin. It looks like Shrek is bleeding. It's gonna look so vibrant. And you really don't want vibrant. You really want these darker muted colors where you can build an actual wound. That makes sense.
What kind of character am I?
You kind of look like Simba. We know when they go like this. So that's that. Anybody have any questions? Anything they want to see? Anything they want me to build on her real fast? Y'all are really engaging. I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding. How are your wounds going? What's up? Oh, you're welcome to build one. You have wax and you have blood. I have the spirit gum remover. I can give you some afterwards. Mackenzie mentioned the other day that a new technique is putting spirit gum over wax to like set it. I've never heard that in my life. Must be one of those newfangled things. It's in the book apparently. Once again, lazy student, didn't read the book. I'm used to a different book. So if you want to get into stage makeup, if you really find it interesting, you can get a basic, I don't have them with me. Of course I don't. You can get like a $10 stage makeup book, or you can get the stage makeup Bible, and it's black, and it's got the 2 pictures of this person in drag. It's really amazing. It's expensive. It's like $150 for this book, but it teaches you everything. It teaches you how to actually sculpt and set it with silicone and make your own full face prosthetics that can move with you and things like that. It's a really amazing book. That's not something we're going to do because that takes days, and I don't really know how to do it well.
That's that face-off kind of stuff.
It is. Face Off is great for this stuff. If you really like makeup, that's a cool series to watch because they do a lot of painting, but it's basically that. Yeah.
13 and Mackenzie love that show.
It's a good show. Well, that's all I have. As you can see, I made a huge mess. So that's just how I roll with stage makeup. But other than that, that's all I have. I hope you enjoyed it. You're welcome.
We should have just had them all use spirit gum at first. That way we kept them captive and they couldn't leave till the very end. Just saying.
Yeah, I think the university got mad at me with COVID on that one. Definitely come see our shows. We don't have any shows, I don't think, that we're using prosthetics and such on. Constellations is our next show. I don't know if any of you are familiar with multiverse principles, the idea that there's multi-universes all at the same time, that there's infinite amounts of you. Our next show is about finding love in multi-universes. It's really interesting. It is live in person. You have to buy tickets beforehand, so you can't just walk in. You'll be 6 feet away from everybody. Everybody wears a mask. And then we have Electra, which may be a radio play. We haven't decided. Auditions will be soon, so if you're interested. And on some of these shows, we do have a stage makeup team. So if it's something you're ever interested in, or if you have an elective, stage makeup is taught here. It's a lot of fun. It's like every 2 years, so plan ahead.
It's one of the few theater classes I recommend that everyone takes.
Yeah, it's a lot of fun. We sit in there, listen to music and joke and look around and go, oh my God, that looks so good. Or you lie to somebody and tell them it looks really good and it doesn't. Yeah, so in theater, we repeat our courses every 2 years just because we don't have that big of a program. And we only have like 5 professors total in our program. And so it repeats every 2 years. So in 2 years. There is, I don't know where it is. I'd have to Google, but there is a place in Dallas that will teach you stage makeup, and you apply it to models and such as well. I've heard about it, but I've not done it myself. So I couldn't tell you more about it. And then, of course, there's local theaters that will gladly apprentice somebody if you wanted to learn it. Honestly, though, I recommend you buy a kit, watch YouTube, do what they do on YouTube. Yeah, that's the best way to learn. You just, like I said, you sit in a dark room and you paint weird wounds on your face. And then when your husband walks in, you go, hey, and he's like, I don't even want to know. So yeah, thank y'all. I really appreciate you having me here. Thanks. You look weird.